Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and today I'm here with Cindy, and we have the privilege of talking about your mission trips and the things that you're doing for the Lord.
I'm from Texas, obviously, and when I was living in Texas, I had the opportunity and was also called to do medical missionary trips to border towns, which we can no longer do anymore, unfortunately, due to the fact that border towns are way too unsafe and for missionaries, for anyone,
For
even for the
anybody.
citizens. So we would go down as a team. I'm an RN, and I went down with a dentist and a dental assistant, myself, and some nursing students, which was really great. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, and we were invited by a church who had a clinic. And we had the opportunity and privilege to be able to smuggle drugs into Mexico. We had to smuggle
Okay.
in antibiotics. It was not a legal thing you could do. It had to do with economy, and they wanted you to buy your drugs there and all that. But we had lots of samples that had been given to us by doctors and so forth, and so we had to smuggle drugs in to Mexico, penicillin, etc. It was a trip. So we would take medicines, lots of antibiotics and things to the clinics. And the dentist there, he saw 15, 20, 25 people a day.
A day.
And he would, because there was no following up for an appointment in a couple weeks, so what he started, he had to finish. And I, as a nurse, worked in the clinic. Not speaking Spanish, I was fortunate to have the nursing students who did.
Who did?
But I did learn, I learned enough Spanish very quickly that when you're talking medical, it does sound a whole lot alike. I was able to interpret a lot, and I had taken Latin in college. But the one thing that they had never had done in the community, and the pastor and I talked about, was there were a lot of people, and it was a very hilly area, that couldn't get out. They couldn't leave their home. They were homebound. Well, I'm a home health nurse.
Okay, perfect.
So I said to the students, there were several other nurses in the clinic, and I said, let's go into town. Take me into town. And the pastor went, okay. And so off we went. And it was, we met with many, many people that had not been able to see a medical professional of any sort because nobody did come to their home. And I went into the homes, and I think the thing that impressed me most was an incident I told you about. I went into a home and explained what I was there for, and wanted to check blood pressures and the things that I can do in my capacity as a nurse. And this lady, who was probably 75, said yes, that she took care of her mother. Now, these homes had all dirt floors and generally only 3 walls. You had your front wall, your side wall, but a lot of times there was no back wall to the homes.
Yes.
And it was all dirt, and the goats were coming in and out. But it was absolutely immaculate. Absolutely. And she goes, yes, yes, I would like for you to see my mother. She's 96 years old. And I said, oh, okay. So she had me sit down, and here she comes out of the bedroom carrying her mother. And she was 72, and she's carrying her mother. She didn't know I was coming. Her mother was in a starched white, pristine gown. Her mother's hair was done. Her mother looked like she had just come out of the beauty shop. And they had no idea we were coming. But what it said to me and what it showed to me was the love and respect that no matter how old your child is, 72, that they showed their parent, and the compassion and their values.
Yes.
It was very value oriented towards family, towards their seniors, and senior care is probably most important to me. So it was extremely touching to see that in home. They didn't have wheelchairs. There were none of the conveniences.
Yes.
And the care that they took was it was an eye-opening experience for me. It was a cultural thing that in our country, our seniors seem to be disposable, whereas in theirs, they're revered.
Yes. Yes.
And I felt very touched that I think it did more for me than I did for them. That the Lord had called me to see.
Yes.
So it was a very touching experience, and I saw that throughout the whole community. because they couldn't all come. This was a very hilly community, and we went through hill and dale, and I saw lots of children that in our country would have been institutionalized, and they were at home with their families. I saw lots of birth defects due to contamination from water, heavy lead, lots of mentally defective children, lots of physically defective children due to living conditions, and they were at home. They were at homes and cared for by their families, in homes that had dirt floors. They didn't even have dust on their shelves. And here I live in carpet and nice, and you walk in my house, and it's going to have dust. But there was no dust, and they, like I said, they didn't know we were coming. They invited us, one family invited us to eat, and I was well aware that if they fed us, that was it. There was no food
for them. Yes.
And I was also aware that I couldn't decline either. And that was very heartbreaking for me. But in turn, we were able to go to the food pantry, and we then brought and gifted them a box. We were able to go across the border, get food from the food pantry, and bring it back, just because it was very touching. They gave us everything they had in appreciation for the medical care that we were giving them. And they knew that the Lord would provide for them. They would have food, even though they emptied their pantry for us. They knew that the Lord would make it through the month for them.
It was so similar in the Philippines. Same, dirt floors. Often, the animals came in and out because they don't have four walls. And when the typhoons come, often they also lose their roof. So they're just sitting there with nothing. And often I would be gifted with grass, because people who would come and they want to give you something, they have nothing, so they'd pick grass on the way. And so I learned to eat grass with a scrambled egg, because there were chickens, and rather than killing the chickens, we just ate the eggs. But it's amazing the love that they have for each other and for their families, and the caring, and they really do care about each other. They have no idea that they're going to have visitors, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, culturally, it's a different way of life. And a lot of my friends say to me, "You're such a minimalist." And that has come from working in the mission field. Yes, I am, because I realize I don't need 20 cups in my cabinet. There's my husband and I. I need two. I don't need 2 sets of china. I don't need. And as I get older and I think back over the experiences in the mission field, I see a greed in this country that distresses me greatly.
Yes.
So I try to give of what I have to the extent that I don't feel like I'm being gluttonous in anything, in any material possession. I just can't. After having spent the time in the mission fields, I don't need 20 pairs of shoes. I don't need 30 blankets. What do I need? And so sometimes being a quilter, having a stash is very hard for me, actually. I feel like, that's just not right. I need to, use and disperse and not retain. So I think that was one of the things that I really, really touched me, is what do I need to live? And truthfully, I need food, water, and my family.
Yes.
Because God will provide the rest.
Yes, He will.
So that is all I need.
Yes. So I thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us, and we will return another time.